Hey guys, this is Nick and welcome to my Linux experiment. This is your news roundup for the month of September for Linux, open source and privacy. Let's start. This video is sponsored by Linode. Linode makes it easy and affordable to host your own website, web app or any other service in the cloud. Linode has a powerful configuration manager to help you select storage space, CPU and GPU power, and the Linux distro you want to run on your server. And everything is hosted in one of their 10 data centers located in North America, Europe, Asia and India. Server plans start at $5 a month and there are no hidden fees or surprise charges, so you can be assured you always know how much your server will cost you. Create your own Linux server today with Linode and you'll get a free $20 credit. That's 4 months of the entry-level server for free. Just click on the link in the description below and use the offer code LinuxEXP19. September the 1st. KdeConnect has seen its first release on macOS 10. As part of a Google Summer of Code project, KdeConnect now syncs the clipboard and notifications between macOS and Android and allows to send files and control the system's volume. You can also send and receive SMS from your Mac, browse your Android phone's files, use it as a trackpad and keyboard, or even to run commands. If you're using Android and a Mac, it's worth checking out. AMD is looking to hire someone with UEFI and CoreBoot experience. This means that AMD will likely conform to this open source spec, making the boot experience open and smoother on AMD machines. This is definitely a good thing and confirms AMD's position as a good supporter of open source and Linux in general. September the 3rd. Firefox 69 was released and it ships with cryptomining and third-party tracking cookies protection enabled by default. Users can also automatically block autoplay for any video, not just those that play sound. Users who use the custom userchrome.css file to tweak their browser's appearance also need to manually enable support for these tweaks in the About config page. A bit of a shameless plug here, but I also launched a website. It's a simple blog where I'll post random thoughts, ramblings and complementary thoughts on recently released videos once the dust had settled. It's available at thelinuxexp.com, don't hesitate to check it out. September the 4th. Ubuntu might add back the trash and removable devices to its left side dock in its next version. These were present in the Unity dock, and the Ubuntu desktop team is pondering bringing them back in their GNOME implementation. It's a good feature to have, to make sure these important items are always readily available. We'll see if it makes it. September the 5th. Brave, creators of the browser bearing the same name, accused Google of tracking people through a mechanism called push pages. While these don't allow sharing personal information, they still allow companies to track accurately users, and Google to collect some more data to use it to display ads. Purism has announced the shipping date for its Librem 5 phone, and it will be before the video comes out, on the 24th of September. There is a catch though, they divided their production in various batches, with increasing levels of quality. This means the first ones to get it will have the least polished product, which seems to me like a big mistake in how to treat your backers. Making hardware is hard, but shipping your loosely assembled batch to people who backed you for more than a year seems like the worst way to go. I, for one, will wait for the reviews before making a judgment. Microsoft also announced a Linux-powered AI camera, which would probably be mostly used for face recognition, which makes me very uncomfortable, so I cannot applaud this, even though it's nice to see Microsoft shipping Linux-powered products. September the 7th. Lutris, the all-in-one game library manager, saw a new release, bringing D9VK support. It already supported one-click enabling of DXVK and can now do the same for D9VK for all the games running with Wine. It also adds support for Discord Rich Presence, which lets your friends on Discord know what you're playing at the moment and allow them to join you easily. I talked briefly about it last month, but now it's confirmed. Microsoft is bringing Microsoft Teams to Linux. On their user voice forums, they confirmed it with 2 small lines. They didn't give any timeline, and it won't make other Microsoft apps magically appear on Linux, since I'm pretty sure Teams will be an Electron app, but it's still a step forward. September the 8th. DXVK 1.3.4, a small maintenance release, fixed a few important bugs in the previous release, most notably a memory leak in programs using Direct2D and problems while building the Wine libraries with Wine 4.15. The games Quantum Break and Control also received fixes that should improve performance. Manjaro announced that they are creating a company to better run and manage the distribution. It will also enable developers to commit to Manjaro full-time and to be more transparent with donations and revenue, as well as protect Manjaro and guarantee its independence. It's a good sign that the distro is maturing nicely, so congrats to them. September the 10th. Microsoft will host a Linux conference. It will take place in March 2020, and the goal seems to be discussing Windows subservice for Linux, with talks from the WSL team for Ubuntu and Penguin, a WSL optimized distribution. The conference itself will be free, which lets me think Microsoft won't announce much there, but is trying to build a WSL community and cement its presence in developers' minds. The Eclipse Foundation and Oracle have made Java Entreprise Edition 8 open source. While they retain the Java trademark, the release is called Jakarta EE. They also released their own implementation of that Java-compatible platform called Eclipse Glassfish 5.1. September the 12th. Manjaro 18.1 Juraya was released. It's weird to have a number scheme for a rolling release, but this means that users downloading the Manjaro ISO will have everything up to date immediately. It brings a new setup screen to choose between FreeOffice, LibreOffice, or no Office suite at all, and integrates Snap and Flatpak support out of the box in their package manager. GNOME 3.34 was released, bringing performance improvements to the shell, as well as the ability to create folders in the app overview by drag and drop. Default apps also have been updated, most notably GNOME Maps, GNOME Music, Boxes, and GNOME Games. If you're using a rolling release, chances are you already got the update, and if not, you probably have to wait for the next release of your distro or October for Ubuntu and its derivatives. I have a video on the channel showing off the major features, take a look if you want to know more. The E operating system has seen its first beta. If you haven't heard about it, E is an open source Android replacement that focuses on privacy. Since it's based on Android, the app situation is good, but all default Google services have been replaced by others more respecting of users' data. You can download E and install it on your own device if it's listed on the OS device list. Unfortunately, none of my Android phones are in there, so I won't be able to demo it for now, but they are also starting to sell refurbished Samsung phones with E pre-installed. September the 13th. Huawei, in a move that's probably designed to face the ban on American companies to work with them, is now selling some of its laptops with Deepin Linux pre-installed. It seems it's only in China, through Vmall, an online retailer, but is still a step forwards. The US Government Accountability Office is singling out the Pentagon for failing to meet its quota of open source software. All government agencies are supposed to make 20% of their software freely available for use by other departments, and it seems the Defense Department has missed that threshold. They didn't create the required performance metrics to follow the achievement of that goal either. Mozilla is trying to make YouTube work on its algorithm by opening up a Google Docs form. Ironic, I know. This form allows users to submit their horror stories, in which YouTube has recommended them something unrequested or filled their feed with a certain type of video after they watched one other barely related one. Mozilla is collecting these testimonials to prepare for a meeting with the YouTube team to try and make them change the algorithm to better respect users' wishes. I don't know if that has any chance to succeed, and since the almighty algorithm is so nebulous to me, I don't know what would even be the impact, but I'll still follow that closely. Proton 4.11-4 has been released, bringing improvements to how games capture the mouse pointer and to how PS4 and Bluetooth controllers are handled. It also brings updated versions of DXVK, D9VK and F-Audio, and fixes bugs in A Hat in Time, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Farming Simulator. It was followed a few days later by Proton 4.11-5, fixing a few bugs on controller handling. Wine 4.16 has been released as well, fixing 16 bugs, notably for Hearthstone, Super Meat Boy, the Epic Games Launcher, and Paragon. It also improves mouse grabbing by games. September the 16th. Version 5.3 of the Linux kernel has been released. It brings support for AMD Navy GPUs, Shaoxin x86 CPUs, and Intel Speed Feature, a feature only used by Intel's Xeon line of processors. This new kernel also now can handle more IPv4 addresses, supporting a range that isn't standard but works, which should open up 16 million more IPv4 addresses. September the 17th. Canonical listed the 199 packages that will still be maintained for the 32-bit architecture in Ubuntu 20.04. It's a healthy number, but I can't imagine it will satisfy those that need a true multi-arch system. I didn't see libvulcan32 either, which is needed for a lot of games to run with DXVK. This situation might be complicated, but I for one can't see myself using Ubuntu or any of its derivatives as long as they're affected by this issue. Valve released the new Steam library interface in public beta. To enable it, go to the Steam settings and opt into the beta, then restart Steam. The new interface has some nice little touches, such as an indicator of which games your friends are currently playing, and a homepage that suggests your recently played games and games your friends have played. You can customize this homepage by adding your own collections to it. It also adds a few improvements to collections with easy drag and drop support to add a game to a specific collection. It looks nice, but it's been slow for me, at least on Linux and Mac OS X, and the interface is not all that responsive. September 21st. DXVK 1.4 was released, and it brings support for Direct3D 11.4, which should fix issues with some games, as well as adding the ability for programs to check for HDR support, which might help a few games to run, even though DXVK does not support HDR yet. The Rockstar launcher should now work much better with this version as well, and resource usage should be improved, especially in The Witcher 3, Sekiro and Dark Souls 3. DXVK 1.4 is a big release that will probably see included in the next version of Proton soon. September 23rd. Thanks to Gaming on Linux, I learned about Boxtron, which is kind of like Proton but for DOS games. Instead of running these games through Proton or regular Wine or DOSBox, Boxtron installs just as a Proton version and can be selected from a Steam game's properties. Boxtron comes with improved full-screen support, lower input lag, support for the Steam overlay and other features. It saw a 0.5.2 release in September. You should definitely check it out if you plan on doing some old-fashioned gaming. Speaking of Proton, version 4.11-6 has also been released, bringing fixes for the Surge 2, allowing it to run just a few days after its launch, and upgrading DXVK to version 1.4, which allows the Rockstar launcher to start and GTA 5 to be played again. D9VK version 0.21 has also been released, with more support for DirectX 9 features and a new video format for compute shaders. A few games should now run better, such as The Witcher, Serious Sam 2 or GTA 4. This new version should be added to Proton soon, so everyone can benefit from it more easily. September 24th. Purism announced that the first batch of Librem 5 phones started shipping. It's the worst batch though, with a loose-fitting case and unfinished switches, which might well give a bad first impression on the device. Software-wise, the power management is still listed as being a rough implementation, which hints at Purism warning that battery life might not be all that great right now. Of course, the following batches of phones will get increasingly better, and backers got a chance to pick a phone from a later batch, so people who will receive their first items will probably be more lenient on the device. I'm half excited to see what people think, and also kinda scared that it will turn out to be really bad. Let's wait and see. September the 27th. DXVK 1.4.1 was released, fixing bugs in Batman Arkham City, Ni no Kuni, and Hitman 2. This new release also fixes some crashes in DirectX 10 games. Wine 4.17 was also released with a new version of Mono, a first implementation of the Windows Script Runtime Library, and 14 various bug fixes. The GNOME Foundation is being sued by Rothschild Patent Imaging LLC, a non-practicing entity also called Patent Troll, for breaching its patents in Shotwell, specifically a patent on Wi-Fi image transfer. The foundation has sought legal counsel and will fight the lawsuit. I can't state this more clearly, software patents should not exist. September the 30th. D9VK version 0.22 was released, and it's a small bug fix release. It brings fixes for various DirectX 9 issues, notably in The Sims 2. Games that used to complain that drivers were too old should now behave correctly. And that's about it for the month of September. I hope you enjoyed this little news recap. If you did, don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. If you really did like this video, I have a Patreon page. I'll leave a link in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!